Yo, what is up, Raidernation? It's your boy Small Raider back at it again with yet another video. If this is the very first time you guys are coming across the channel and you love Raiders content, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. So today I'm going to be predicting the Raiders record for the 2025 season. Of course, we already know the teams that we're going to be playing. We know the dates, we know the times, and we know the primetime games that we do have. The Raiders got a little bit of love this season, having 3 primetime games, 2 Monday Night Football games, and 1 Thursday Night Football game. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to try to keep my expectations a bit tempered this year, because every year that I do a record prediction, even though I don't really like doing them because I'm always wrong, because I always have high expectations for my team, and going into the 3rd straight season with a new regime doesn't make me feel a lot better about the team, especially the past couple of years. I've had the team winning 10, 11, 12, 13 games, but we'll see what I have the Raiders winning this year, at least for my prediction. But if you guys have a record prediction, let me know what you guys have the Raiders finishing this season down in the comments below. With that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it with week 1, heading over there to New England to play the New England Patriots. This is going to be Tom Brady's revenge game. No, it's not really his revenge game because he's not really playing, but we get to go and play the New England Patriots. Ironically, Josh McDaniels is over there, of course, our old coach, and we're going to want to go over there and kind of get back at him. I know Jacoby Myers is playing his former team, and I feel like the Raiders can definitely come out of week 1 with the W. Especially with this new regime, with Pete Carroll, with John Spytek, we want to come out the gate swinging, and getting a W on week 1 is definitely mandatory. Now, moving on to week 2, I think this is one of the most anticipated games of the season, especially for Raider Nation, especially for me, because we get to come home and have not only a home opener, but a primetime home opener against a team that we all despise in the San Diego Superchargers. Okay, I know they're not San Diego no more, but I don't claim them as the LA Chargers because we run LA at the end of the day. And they're the only teams that don't got a Super Bowl in LA, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, I know that all 12 of the Charger fans are going to be coming over here to Las Vegas trying to have a good time, and I know they swept us last year, but I think this year's a little bit different, especially for the rivalry that we have already in the AFC West. On top of that, adding Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh. On top of that, having Geno Smith versus Justin Herbert. Just this whole team in general, just the rivalry that goes in between the lines and even in the stands. I think the Raiders definitely, if anything, have to come out of this game with a W, because I don't see the Raiders losing this early on, especially to the Chargers. If this was in LA, then that's a whole different story, because I know we don't really win in LA, which I hope we kind of change this year. But I think coming into week 2 against the Chargers after winning week 1, I think the Raiders are going to come into this with a lot of momentum, and I definitely see the Raiders, like I said, coming away with that W, starting the season off 2-0. And I know what you guys might be thinking. Yo, Simone right there, I thought you said you were going to try to temper your expectations, but chill. We're just getting started right now. Now we head over to Washington to face the Commanders, the Redskins, whatever you guys want to name them, and we play Jaden Daniels, and I think this is where the Raiders get their first loss. Of course, it's always any given Sunday, but I just feel like the Commanders, after what they did last year, going into this year with a quarterback that I think is the future of the NFL, I think it might be a little bit too much for the Raiders, and the Raiders can't win all 17 games, so let's be realistic here. Now we come right back home and we play the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams. They got a plethora of weapons over there now, and they got a new head coach that I know a lot of Raider Nation wanted over here, and Ben Johnson, but I think everybody can easily say that they're a little bit happy for what we ended up getting, which I think was the #1 option for the Raiders, and I still have the Raiders losing to the Bears here in Las Vegas. Now that's 2 losses in a row, and I know it stings a little bit for the Raiders, but chill. Don't worry, it's only the beginning of the season, because we head over to Indianapolis and we play the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know who's going to be their starting quarterback. They got a lot of different pieces, a lot of different moving pieces. I know that their defense is pretty solid, but at the end of the day, I think the Raiders get right back into the win column against the Indianapolis Colts, which, hey, I'll take it, right? With that being said, we come right back home to Las Vegas and play the Tennessee Titans. We get to play the #1 pick in this year's NFL draft, and Cam Ward, and I have the Raiders losing this matchup. Yes, I know a lot of you guys are like, what? Really? Really, Small Raider? But I don't know. This is one of those trap games where we might think, hey, we got it in the bag. But who knows? Cam Ward can come out here and ball out against the Raiders. Who knows how our defense looks? But it's going to be fun to see, Ashton Jeanty versus Cam Ward, to see who's the better rookie. Of course, I can easily say Ashton Jeanty because I'm biased, but I think this is going to be a fun matchup. But at the end of the day, I have the Raiders losing this game. Now, we got one more game in week 7, right before the bye week, and we play the Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City. And we know we have struggled many times in Kansas City, at Arrowhead. And I know we've beaten them once or twice in the past 5-6 years. I know the last game that we had over there that we actually won was the Christmas game where everybody fell in love with Antonio Pierce, but I don't see it happening. I just don't. I don't see the Raiders coming out of this game with a victory, and that's the Raiders taking yet another L. That's back-to-back L's going into the bye week, and the Raiders right now are sitting at 3-4. So I can definitely see this happening. If the Raiders can at least win 3 or 4 of the 7 games going into the bye week, I'm totally happy with it, and I think that's the most realistic option for the Raiders. We win some and we lose some, but we just getting started. Because coming right out of the bye week, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars coming into town, and I got the Raiders taking a big, fat W. I think coming out of the bye week, the Raiders definitely got to get a W, especially having 2 L's going into the bye week. The Raiders finally get a little bit more relaxed. They kind of go over everything, kind of fix everything, and Pete Carroll's going to get these guys right back on track. So with that said, even with Travis Hunter over there, even with Trevor Lawrence, all the weapons that they do have over there, I don't think it's enough for the Raiders, especially for what we're going to do coming into the second half of the season. So I definitely got that W there. Now after that, in week 10, the Raiders got a prime time game against the Denver Donkeys on Thursday Night Football, and we're heading to Denver. So this is going to be a fun one in Mile High, and I have the Raiders getting a W right here. I just feel like the Raiders on primetime always have a really competitive game, or even win games, especially against the Denver Broncos. We somehow, some way, always find a way to win against the Denver Broncos, and I'm never really worried about it. Yes, I know that they got a lot of solid pieces over there. I know they got Bo Nix over there. I know that they got Sean Payton running things. I know they got a great defense, but I just feel like that AFC West rivalry, it just doesn't matter what the record is at that point, but I feel like the Raiders have a little bit more within what they have, and I just think that the Raiders have enough to come out with a W. Now, right after that, the Raiders have back-to-back primetime games, because we got a Monday Night Football game in Week 11 on Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. And yes, I think this is going to be one of the biggest games of the season, just for the mere fact that we got Dallas, that we got Las Vegas, that we're playing at Allegiant Stadium, we got Jerry World, we got a lot of those Cowgirl fans coming into town, and there's going to be a lot of fans going at it. But even with the momentum that we have coming out of the bye week with 2 straight wins, I have the Raiders losing right here. Of course, I know a lot of Raider fans will want to get a W, but I don't know. We just haven't had our luck against the Dallas Cowboys, especially on prime time. So I have the Raiders losing this game. Then after that, we finally get a back-to-back home game, because we got the Cleveland Browns coming into town, and I have the Raiders winning this game, going back into the win column against the Cleveland Browns. And I don't know who their quarterback is going to be at this moment, but whoever it is, I kind of hope it's Shedeur Sanders, but whoever it is, I think that the Raiders have enough to go out there and win this game. But after that, we go into LA against the Chargers, against our rivals, against the team that we beat earlier on in the season. Basically in the Raiders' vacation home. We call it Allegiant West over there at SoFi Stadium. And as much as I hate SoFi Stadium, as much as I hate all the Charger fans, all 12 of them, especially the ones that talk a lot, I just don't see the Raiders winning in LA. And as much as I would love the Raiders to win in LA, especially with Pete Carroll, his ties with LA, and especially with the history that the Raiders have in LA, we just haven't been able to do that ever since the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, and ever since SoFi Stadium was built and the Chargers started playing in there. I just got to see the Raiders go out there and prove me wrong, because that's what I'm going to be hoping for, but I just don't see the Raiders winning in LA. But like I said, I hope they prove me wrong. Now we come right back home and we play the Denver Broncos, and I have the Raiders coming away with another W, sweeping the Broncos for the season. I'm just not really sold on the Broncos. I just don't think that they're good enough to beat us. I don't think that they're going to be as good as they were the season prior, or last season, I mean. So I got the Raiders winning this one easily. Now, these next 2 weeks, we're going to be hitting the road. First, we're going to head to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. It's going to be a fun matchup. Of course, you're going to see Saquon Barkley. We're going to see Ashton Jency. Who's going to be the better back of the day? It could be Ashton Jency, but I just don't see us winning at the end of the day, especially now that they didn't ban the tush push, and knowing that they're coming off of a Super Bowl win. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL for right now, and I just don't see the Raiders doing it. But this could be one of those games that they surprise the whole nation. They surprise the NFL, because those are the games that the Raiders actually do be winning, is the games that nobody expects us to win. All the games that people expect the Raiders to win, we always end up losing. But this game, I just don't see the Raiders winning, especially against a tough matchup like the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, right after that, we head over to Houston to play the Texans. We play CJ Stroud in that revamped Houston Texans team, and I just see the Raiders losing this game as well. That's back-to-back losses for the team, and I know we kind of feeling down right now and not knowing if we're going to make the playoffs, especially sitting at 6-8. It doesn't feel good. It definitely doesn't feel good, and it seems like the same old Raiders. But don't worry, because I think the Raiders still turn things around just a little bit. Now we come back home, having back-to-back home games to finish off the season. First playing the New York Giants, and I have the Raiders winning convincingly in this matchup, getting a W. And then we finish off the season against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I feel like the Raiders, some way, somehow, I don't know how it's going to happen, but we going to get that W to finish off the season. And the Raiders finish the season with a 9-8 record. And I think that this will put the Raiders in a fringe playoff role. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be teetering on the edge. And I think for me, that's all I can ask for. If the Raiders can win 8 or 9 games this season and look competitive in all those games, I said it before, I don't care if they win or lose, but as long as they look competitive in every game and look like a much better team that they were last season, then I cannot complain at all. Of course, I'm going to want the Raiders to win the Super Bowl. But if I'm speaking as a realistic fan, I just think that 9 wins is the ceiling for this season. And hey, I think that's a win, especially for Pete Carroll as the head coach for the Raiders for his first season. We can only go up from here. I also do think that Ashton Jeanty has a really good chance of winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, but we'll have to wait and see. With that said though, Raider Nation, man, of course, like I said earlier, let me know what you think the Raiders record prediction will be for this season. Do you feel like the Raiders are going to make the playoffs, and how far do you think they can go? Let me know down in the comments below. Until the next video, this your boy, Some More Raider, and your boy is, yeah.